Brutal twist. Woman helps crying old man buy gift. Unknowingly catching COS dark desire. The old man sat trembling on the edge of the bustling sidewalk, his gnarled hands clutching a crumpled dollar bill. Tears streamed down his weathered face as he choked on his sobs. Passers-by rushed by, ignoring the pathetic scene, but she paused. Something about him pulled at her heartstrings, a magnetic force in the chaos of the city. This was no ordinary encounter. Little did she know, a dark undercurrent was lurking beneath the surface, about to change everything as she approached. The whirlwind of the downtown crowd faded into a distant hum. The air felt thick with an unsettling tension. "Can I help?" she asked softly, her voice cutting through his despair like a lifeline. His eyes widened in surprise, and for a fleeting moment, his sorrow transformed into desperation. He stammered out the words, explaining he wanted to buy a gift for his granddaughter but couldn't he afford it. The glimmer in his eye as he spoke about her was haunting and beautiful. He described her like a rare treasure, a blend of mischief and innocence. But as he struggled to gather his thoughts, the corners of the street darkened. Shadows skewed the vibrant colors of the storefronts, and an inexplicable chill rippled through the air. She felt it too, a shift, as if something was watching from the depths of that bustling maze. Time held its breath as she reached into her bag, offering him the cash he needed, completely unaware of how her generosity unwittingly tangled her fate with his. A sidelong glance revealed a man in an expensive suit, lurking ominously at the far end of the street. His eyes narrowed and locked on them. He was CEO of a powerful corporation known for its iron grip on the city, a figure associated with whispers of ruthlessness and ambition. The tension heightened, enveloping the scene with a suffocating weight. A sudden sound, a sharp gasp from the crowd, snapped her back to reality. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As she turned back to the old man, his expression had morphed. Fear flickered across his features, and he glanced over his shoulder. The CEO's presence seemed to swallow the air around them. "You don't understand," he uttered, his voice shaking. "You've caught his eye." The words hung ominously, heavy with implications, and suddenly reality twisted. She had just become a pawn in a game much larger than she could comprehend. But why? What was this CEO's dark desire? A bead of sweat rolled down her spine and her heart raced. Were they truly safe? The puzzle had only just begun to reveal itself, and the more she learned, the more she realized she had to keep digging. What had she stumbled into? The city felt alive, pulsating with secrets waiting to be uncovered. The old man's eyes darted around as if the shadows themselves were creeping closer. "You need to go," he hissed, his voice a panicked whisper. "Yes, not just watching you, he's interested." With shaking hands he clutched the wrinkled dollar bill like it was his only lifeline. "Interested? In me?" she stammered, bewildered. An unsettling dread curled in her stomach like a serpent, squeezing tighter with each passing second. The COS smirk from across the street felt like a vice that bore down on her shoulders. "Good intentions don't matter with men like him," the old man continued, glancing back again, his eyes wide with fear. "He will use you if he decides you're worth it." She registered the gravity of his words, and her heart hammered in her chest. What had she done? Helping him felt like a foolish misstep. The kindness she thought was a lifeline now felt like a trap. She took a cautious step back. "I should go," but as the words escaped her lips, the crowd around them shifted. The world felt alive, buzzing with tension. Then suddenly the CEO took a step forward, breaking into a casual but confident strut toward them. The crowd parted subtly, like waves receding from a storm. She could feel the eyes of onlookers drawn to him, their expressions oscillating between curiosity and alarm. They all sensed the menace in his approach. "Ah, there you are." His voice was smooth, coated with a sinister charm. "I couldn't help but notice such a generous act. You've got a kind heart, don't you?" His gaze locked onto hers, a predatory glint shining through. She felt a chill race down her spine. It wasn't just his suit that screamed power. It was the confidence that radiated from his every movement. "What's your name, sweetheart?" he asked, each word dripping with an unsettling sweetness that sent her instincts into overdrive. She stumbled over her words, feeling the weight of his gaze as if it were a physical force. The old man shifted uncomfortably beside her, each breath he took echoing his anxiety. "Oh, come now," he interjected, feigning a jovial tone. "Let us not be shy. Names are such delightful things." His smile stretched, but it didn't reach his eyes. They were cold, calculating. She was being assessed, catalogued in some dark ledger of his twisted ambitions. With a tremor, she finally found her voice. "I really need to go." She nearly bolted but felt the old man's south hand close around her wrist, his grip surprisingly strong. "Wait. You can't," he urged, a quiet desperation clear in his tone. The CEO watched their exchange with an amused glint. "Oh, let her go, old man. I have no interest in making enemies today. I'm simply fascinated by how the world works, particularly the unsuspecting cadences of kindness." Her heart raced, pounding in her ears as realization dawned upon her. She was stepping into a game she didn't even understand. Behind the facade of charisma, a lurking shadow awaited her next move. "Consider this your warning," he said, looking directly at her. "You've drawn attention. Be careful, or you may find yourself unable to escape." As he turned and walked away, a palpable tension hung in the air. The old man's expression tightened, the panic deepening in his eyes. "You've made a mistake," he murmured. "You need to get away now." But where could she run? The city, alive with secrets, suddenly felt like a labyrinth. The stakes were higher than she'd ever realized. What would happen next, faced with the unpredictable nature of danger that now loomed so close? Just as doubts flooded her mind, the sound of a siren pierced through the urban cacophony. Was it a distraction or a warning? The consequences of her seemingly innocent act loomed over her like dark clouds ready to unleash a storm. What awaited her next in this dangerous game? Time seemed to slow as the echo of the siren faded into a distant memory. She felt the city pulse around her, each heartbeat mirroring her own racing pulse. Shadows loomed, and the blending sounds of hurried footsteps and muffled conversations felt like a drumroll leading up to something monumental. The old man's grip on her wrist tightened, pulling her back to him as if trying to shield her from the chaos around them. "Listen," he urged, urgency crackling in his voice. "You can't just stand here. He has eyes everywhere, and you become his prey the moment you hesitate." With a jolt, she tore her gaze from the old man's worried face and glanced around. The crowd bustled with an air of normalcy, but the weight of their curiosity and latent fear bore down on her. People exchanged glances, some whispering into their phones, others casting sidelong looks toward the departing CEO. "Where do I go? What do I do?" she whispered, her voice almost lost in the noise of the city. "That's the problem, isn't it?" he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Right now you have to blend in. Don't attract any more attention than you have already." The edges of her vision began to blur. She felt every heartbeat thudding like an alarm, warning her that dangers lurked just out of sight. The uneasiness swelled as the CEO's last words replayed in her mind. "You've drawn attention." Suddenly, the clamor of the street split like a zipping curtain. From the corner of her eye, she spotted a looming figure, a well-built man with a stern face and an earpiece tucked into his ear. He was watching her, an intensity in his gaze that sent prickles along her spine. It was unmistakable. He was not here by accident. "Run," the old man urged, his voice rising above the din. "If you don't, you'll regret it." With adrenaline surging through her, she broke into a sprint. She didn't look back, her legs propelling her forward, weaving through startled pedestrians. The cacophony of the city honked and screeched like an impending storm, reinforcing her desperate need to escape. Each step felt heavy with dread. What lay behind her? Was it the CEO? The grim face of the man in the crowd? She believed she could hear the heavy footfalls of someone pursuing her. The clamoring of her heart threatened to drown out the sounds around her and the echoes of her thoughts. She turned into a narrow alley, the walls closing in around her. A flickering streetlight cast eerie shapes as puddles reflected shadows that danced like specters. She pressed her back against the cool brick, catching her breath, trying to calm the racing thoughts. The crushing silence was interrupted by a voice, low and intentional. You shouldn't run. It only makes the game more exciting. Her eyes widened as she realized it was him, the CEO, standing just a few feet away, a confident smirk playing on his lips. He'd found her, and the thrill of the hunt fueled the darkness manifesting in his gaze. I told you to be careful, he said, taking a slight step forward. Now you've truly caught my attention. Fear gripped her, causing her limbs to turn to lead. Escape seemed a distant hope as his aura of menace bore down on her. Unable to breathe, she fought against the walls closing in. What did he truly want from her? Before she could muster the will to bolt again, he stretched out his hand, an invitation and a threat. Join me and maybe I can show you how to play this game. As she grappled with the weight of his words, the hesitant flicker of something frightening yet alluring flashed within her. She was in deeper than she ever intended, and the stakes were higher than she could have imagined. With a mix of dread and curiosity washing through her, she took a step toward him, realizing the true game had only just begun. Would she be able to hold on to her sense of self, or would she be consumed by the dark desires lurking within his grasp? The game was on, and the next move was hers, but at what cost? The moment hung thick in the air, her breath catching in her throat as she stared at the CEO's outstretched hand. The streetlight flickered, casting grotesque shadows that seemed to blare a warning. She was teetering on the edge of an abyss, caught between fear and a dreadful fascination. I want to join you, she said, the defiance ringing hollow in her ears. Her heart raced, each thud echoing her resolve, but doubt tightened its grip on her, spiraling her thoughts into chaos. Why did he need her? What game was he playing? His smile only widened, teasing at the corners of his lips. You might think that now, but you will come to understand. We've already begun, darling. With that, he adjusted his cufflinks, an elegant gesture that somehow deepened her unease. It was as if he reveled in the intensity of the moment. Before she could process his words, a sudden noise broke through the silence, a series of footsteps echoing from the alley's entrance. Panic flared within her, the realization dawning that she was cornered. She had to escape. Without another thought, she bolted past him, her senses igniting as adrenaline surged through her veins. She dashed deeper into the winding alleyways, her footsteps reverberating off the damp brick walls. The city closed in around her, a labyrinth pulsing with danger at every turn. Footsteps thundered behind her, relentless and unforgiving. She could hear the muffled shouts of the man with the earpiece, the marked hunter, hot on her trail. With one final glance over her shoulder, she caught sight of the CEO striding leisurely behind, amused, his demeanor a stark contrast to her raw terror. You can't run forever, floated through the air, an ominous echo of what was to come. Turning sharply, she found herself confronting a dead end. A high wooden fence loomed ahead, its surface jagged and uninviting. She had no choice, she had to climb. The rough wood splintered under her fingers as she heaved herself up, panic coursing through her as the sounds of pursuit grew closer. Just as she braced herself for the final push, a heavy hand clamped down on her ankle. She screamed, kicking wildly, but the grip was like iron. In that instant, she felt the ropes of terror tighten around her chest, squeezing the breath from her lungs. Got you. The voice was mocking, laced with cruel delight. It was him, the man who had been watching her in the street, the hunter now turned captor. As she fought, adrenaline mixing with desperation, she managed to shake free, tumbling onto the other side of the fence. Her heart burned in her chest as she stumbled to her feet, ready to flee again. But a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. The CEO stood there, a twisted smile on his face, granting her a moment of hope as he casually extended his arm. Now, my dear, he said, voice smooth as silk, do you want to play the game or should we make this more interesting? In her wild eyes gleamed the faint outline of a choice, but her soul quaked at the weight of it. What lay ahead, submission or rebellion? With uncertainty washing over her, she realized something utterly terrifying. The real game would only begin when the stakes were highest. The city pulsated with eager anticipation, and she was no longer sure who was truly in control. The next challenge was looming, and it would demand everything of her, but was she ready to plunge into the unknown for answers? Or would she remain a pawn in someone else's game? As she took a deep breath, the reflection of the storm brewing inside her mingled with the shadows creeping all around. What awaited her on the other side? The The CEO's smile widened, but there was a chill in his eyes that sent shivers down her spine. She hesitated, grappling with a fear that twisted at her insides. The alley closed in, the world beyond the fence a mere whisper of safety. "Choose wisely, darling," he said, his voice oily and smooth. "Every move will have its consequence." In that moment, she had a picture of her life flashing before her eyes. Freedom felt like a stretch at the end of a long tunnel, yet she couldn't break the gaze of the man ensnaring her. Her heart thumped violently against her ribs, and every breath became a shallow gasp as the weight of his words crashed over her. A shadow flickered behind him, and she could feel the hunter drawing closer. The laughter echoed in her mind as panic began to ripple through her veins again. Then she leaped forward, faking a move to the right. As he shifted his weight, she dashed left, adrenaline propelling her forward. She didn't look back. Each step was a prayer for her freedom, bones aching from the earlier struggle, but she couldn't give in. The city streets blurred around her as she sprinted, and soon the sounds of pursuit faded behind her. She didn't know how long she traveled, but her lungs burned with exhaustion. Finally, she spotted a small convenience store, a beacon of hope. She slipped inside, heart racing as the bell chimed above her. The fluorescent lights buzzed, momentarily easing the darkness that surrounded her. She glanced around, seeking safety amidst the rows of snacks and drinks. "Can I help you?" The cashier, a middle-aged woman, looked up from her magazine, eyes narrow and curious. "I am just looking," she stammered. She needed time to think. But no sooner had she taken a step inside than the door swung open. She froze, watching in horror as the CEO entered, followed closely by his hunter. He still wore that insufferable smile, like he was enjoying a game that was about to get thrilling. "Caught up so soon? The chase is just starting," he whispered, loud enough for her and his hunter to hear. The murmur of the store faded, the tension wrapping around her like a noose. Fear gripped her. She scanned the aisles, hoping for a way out. The hunter was making his way towards her, a glint of triumph in his eyes. "You can't hide forever. You need to face what comes next." Once again, her legs screamed at her to run, but somewhere deep down, curiosity tugged at her. The allure of the game seeped into her thoughts. Was there a chance to take control? To flip the script on these predators? Everything you hold dear, it can be yours again. You just need to accept your role. The COS words washed over her, heavy with intrigue. The cashier, oblivious to the danger, looked between her and the men. "Is everything all right?" "Just a misunderstanding," the hunter shot back, his tone sharp and dismissive. The woman stood frozen, caught in the threads of their twisted play. She felt the walls around her pulse with oppressive energy. Her mind raced. She had a flicker of hope, a chance to turn it all around. She stepped forward, inhaling deeply, her heart pounding with the weight of her choice. "Maybe," she began, and the eyes of the CEO flickered with interest. "Maybe I want to join this game." The moment hung like a loaded gun, a sinister thrill shooting through her. In a heartbeat, she knew it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about power, revenge, and a fight for her life. As the COS grin deepened, she realized that the game was only just getting started. But what awaited her in the depths of this dark game? Was she the player, or had the game already claimed her? The CEO's smile broadened, turning sinister as he leaned closer to her. "A bold choice, my dear," he said, his breath cooling her skin like a winter draft. "But you must realize the stakes. Are you truly ready for this?" The words wrapped around her, tightening like a vice. She clutched her hands into fists, adrenaline pulsing in her veins. It was a dance of darkness and light, and she had chosen to step into the shadows. Just then, the cashier broke the spell. "Can I help anyone?" Her voice cut through the thick tension, questioning and unaware. The CEO straightened, his gaze flicking towards the woman. "Oh, she's just learning the rules of the game," he replied smoothly, practically oozing charm. "Aren't you, darling?" She forced a nod, her heart racing. The momentary distraction gave her a chance to think. She had to act fast. She locked eyes with the cashier, feeling an unspoken plea in her expression. I need her to help me pick out a gift." The CEO interrupted, practically purring the words. "You see, I'm in need of some advice on a delicate matter." Fear and anger blazed inside her. "I don't need to help you," she stated defiantly, but his cold stare silenced her. The hunter had moved closer, a menacing shadow behind the CEO. Ah, but you do, the hunter chimed in, his voice low like gravel. You see, you're already part of this nightmare. And we haven't even begun. The cashier's eyes darted between them, confusion clouding her features. Is this some kind of joke? No joke, the CEO said, his tone still casual but with an edge. Just a game that requires a little creativity. Before she could respond, he gestured toward the back of the store. Why don't we step into the aisle over there? You can show me which things women such as yourself enjoy the most. The words dripped with condescension, but the offer dangled like bait. Her instincts screamed at her to flee, yet an inexplicable force held her in place. She glanced at the cashier, who had started to back away slowly, sensing the unease. Come along now, the CEO stimulated, his smile unyielding. It will be fun. Trust me. Against her better judgment, she followed, with the hunter edging closer behind her, a predatory smirk tugging at his lips. Inside the narrow aisle, the CEO leaned in. This is where the real potential lies, my dear. A game of wits. All the while, her mind raced as she scanned the shelves for anything she could use. A shelf of sparkling bottles, cans of energy drink gleaming like mocking trophies. Inspiration flickered like a dying flame. What if I said I'll join this game but on my terms? She challenged, voice steady despite the fear lurking beneath. The game had taken a sharp turn, and it was her chance to take back control. He raised an eyebrow, amusement dancing in his eyes. Listen to you, ready to negotiate. So very brave. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. But darling, you have yet to discover what awaits, what you're truly up against. His words hung heavy, tainted with foreboding. She felt exposed like a rabbit cornered by wolves, but she wasn't done fighting, not yet. Then let me see your moves, CEO, she shot back, daring him. After all, if I'm playing, I intend to win. Behind her, she heard the hunter choke back a laugh. You're playing with fire, little girl. But she held her ground, a flicker of defiance igniting within. Every fiber of her being felt the weight of the choice she had made. Then she noticed a flicker of movement at the entrance. Someone else had entered the store, a tall figure cloaked in shadows. Could it be a friend? Or another hunter? The moment froze. The thrill of danger rippled through her, electrifying every cell. She felt all eyes turn, tension thickening around them. What did this new player want? And more importantly, how would it alter the game she had just stepped into? As the figure drew nearer, her pulse quickened. Would they tip the balance? Or plunge her deeper into chaos? Welcome to the game, she thought, the stakes rising higher with each passing second. But little did she realize, this was only the beginning of her reckoning. The figure moved closer, and her heart thumped louder with each step. It was hard to tell in the dim light at the back of the store, but she could sense a presence that brought a chill, more intense than even the CEO's icy demeanor. Who are you? She whispered, but the words barely stumbled past her lips. The cloaked figure paused, turning slightly to face her. A glimmer of light caught their eyes, revealing a kindness that felt stark against the tension in the air. I'm here to help you, they spoke, their voice low yet soothing. But you need to trust me. Before she could respond, the COS laughter interrupted, echoing through the narrow aisle. Help? In this game? His grin widened, sharpening like a knife. You'll soon find that trust is a dangerous currency. Trust in this world is a fool's game, the hunter added, stepping forward, blocking any avenue of retreat. The mockery in his tone made a shiver crawl down her spine. She watched the newcomer closely. They had the build of someone strong, yet the aura was calming. You don't know who you're dealing with here, she said, keeping her voice steady. If you're here to help, you had better have a plan. I do, the figure replied, showing no signs of fear. But I need you to do something for me first. What? You need me to play your game? The CEO taunted, crossing his arms. How amusing. But the newcomer's gaze remained locked on her, piercing through the chaos. You need to distract them. Get the CEO to look away. That will buy us time. Her mind raced. Life had always taught her to grasp opportunities, even when draped in fear. Could she really trust this stranger? She had already stepped into this mess. Was this a chance to wade deeper into the unknown? Why? What's the plan? She asked. They don't see the bigger picture, the friend murmured, stepping closer. We can't let them take control of your fate. You're stronger than you realize. With that spark of encouragement, Her resolve began to solidify. "Okay, I'll distract him," she announced, her voice gaining strength. The CEO raised a brow, intrigued. "Oh, and how do you plan to do that exactly?" "Let us play," she said. "Let us see what this game is really about." She stepped towards him, heart pounding, but there was a hint of exhilaration. "What do you truly want?" she challenged, attempting to feign confidence against the growing weight of dread pressing at her chest. The CEO leaned back as if savoring her question. "A woman of curiosity, I like it," he replied, pretending to contemplate. "But remember, curiosity killed the cat, and we're not talking about just any cat here." As his voice trailed off, a burst of a different sound interrupted, sharp, urgent, like a gunshot echoing in a silent room. It rang from the front of the store, slicing through the oppressive atmosphere like a jagged blade. "What was that?" the cashier squeaked, her face paling as her eyes darted towards the entrance. Panic bubbled within her, but the figure behind her moved closer, eyes fixed on her intently. "This is our chance. You need to create chaos, get them distracted. The moment is now." But as she turned back to face the CEO, his expression shifted. No longer amused, he now seemed slightly unsettled by the unexpected noise. The hunter's smirk faded, replaced by a keen alertness. Time skipped. The urgent sound echoed again, pulling her focus away. Was that help or more danger? "Are you ready for what comes next?" the figure murmured again, breaking her trance. "No," she whispered, yet the words felt like a lie. Everything inside her screamed for a path out. This was her moment, but what strange web was being woven around her? With her heart in her throat, she flung herself into the chaos, determined to bend the game to her will. But the shadows closed in, and the stakes climbed even higher. Had she merely traded one peril for another? The scene spiraled toward an uncertain fate. As limbs entwined with the urgency of the moment, she questioned the direction. Could she truly change the end of this treacherous tale? And just as doubt began to seep in, a chilling chuckle filled the air, reminding her this game was far from over. The world around her felt like it had contracted to a single focal point. The clash of decisions, the pressing weight of the cloaked figure's urging words. She took a deep breath, tasting the metallic strain of fear. The laughter of the CEO faded into the background, replaced by a growing hum of adrenaline. "Listen to me," she shouted, facing the CEO squarely. "If you want a show, I'll give you a show." Her voice trembled, but defiance coursed through her veins. This was about survival now, and she needed to seize the moment like a lifeline. The CEO shifted, intrigued yet cautious. "Oh, you think you're clever? What do you have in mind?" Beneath her trembling exterior, ideas sparked wildly. "You said trust is dangerous. How about making a deal? I'll help you get what you want, but I need to understand the game better first. Show me your hand and I'll consider mine." She held her breath, praying for his arrogance to overshadow his caution. His lips curled into a sly smile, revealing too many teeth. "And why would I even consider that?" He leaned closer, an unsettling intensity radiating off him like the heat of a furnace. "You've got a fire, I'll give you that. But fire can consume you, darling." The figure behind her steadied their grip on her shoulder, a calming anchor in the tempest. "Now just hold on. It's not the moment, shut up," she snapped, too wrapped up in her own desperate act. "I'm trying to survive here." The CEO chuckled, seemingly unfazed. "I like your spirit, but that's not enough. You want chaos? I can give you chaos." He waved a hand and shadows seemed to twist around them like eager serpents. "Just remember, where there's chaos, there's a danger of being crushed under its weight." With a flash of intuition, she turned at the last moment to the cloaked figure. "What are you waiting for? Do something." That's when she noticed a flicker of apprehension in the figure's gaze. "It's not time yet. Trust? This is my life. You said you would help me." Panic clawed at her throat. She took another step toward the CEO, her heart pounding in unison with the building tension. Before he could respond, another loud bang echoed from the front, followed by collective gasps. A shrill scream pierced the air, leaving everyone frozen in place. All eyes darted toward the source of the chaos. "What the hell?" The CEO spat, his mask of control slipping. "What is happening?" In that split second of distraction, she sensed her opportunity. "It's now or never." She rushed past him, adrenaline fueling her movement. Let us see what's really going on out there. As she bolted toward the front, fear curdled in her stomach. She could feel the CEO's eyes boring into her back. A storm of anger brewing behind his calm mask. A flurry of movement unfolded. Shadows and frantic bodies blurred together. A crowd surged, pushing her closer to the entrance. The chilly air filled her lungs, and with it came whispers of a dark reckoning. In the chaos, everything felt disjointed, but she barreled forward, driven by instinct. Suddenly, a hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. She spun, ready to fight, but found herself face to face with an old man. His expression a mix of terror and despair. "You've got to help me. Please." He gasped, eyes wide, darting toward the back of the store where they had been. "He's after me." "Who? What are you talking about?" She fought against the grip of panic clawing at her again. "Please, I know where the missing files are. It's all connected," he pleaded, and in that very instant, she felt threads of uncertainty tighten around her. The lethal game wasn't just about her anymore. A terrible realization crashed over her. She was caught in something much bigger than her own fears. The CEO's laughter echoed back in her mind, mingling with the man's plea. "Old man, we have to move," she said, ready to forge an escape. Now, just as they turned, the heavy door to the store swung open with an ominous creak. Another body entered, a silhouette cloaked in darkness. The figure cast a long shadow, hinting at intentions she was not ready to face. And in that moment, as the chilling shadow swept over them, she understood. Trust was just another twisted layer of this dangerous game. "Who are you?" she whispered into the growing silence, but the answer was lost in the gathering tumult. Unraveled threads leading her deeper into the darkness, and beyond the veil of chaos ahead lay truths she could never have imagined. What more awaited her? Would the truth shatter her once and for all, or might it be the key to her salvation? The shadow loomed in the doorway, its presence nearly suffocating in the air thick with fear and chaos. As the crowd pressed, murmurs broke out, tiny storms of panic and uncertainty swirling around her. The old man's grip tightened on her wrist, as though he were anchoring himself to her, drawing strength from her. "Please, we don't have much time," he urged, the quaver of his voice barely piercing the rising noise. "What do you know?" she demanded, fear charging her words. She needed more than vague hints. She needed clarity. "A secret that could cost both our lives," he replied, glancing back toward the dark figure. "He can't see us talking. We have to move." With every ounce of bravery, she pulled him back, weaving through the throng of terrified attendees, all eyes darting to the ominous figure, paralyzed by its chilling aura. The old man moved swiftly beside her, the buzzing sensation of the unknown crackling in her veins as if sparking a low flame that urged her forward. They dodged past terrified faces, some children wailing, adults shouting over each other as they crowded near the exits in a desperate bid for safety. But she couldn't afford to lose focus. Her mind raced with possibilities. "Why do they want you?" she asked breathlessly, shooting glances over her shoulder. "It's about the files," he said tightly, desperation curling his features. "I possess information that reveals." An abrupt crash echoed from the rear of the store, snapping her attention back to the dark figure, which had taken a step forward. A murmur rippled through the crowd like a current. Panic manifested as heads turned and bodies shifted nervously. The intensity of the moment tightened her chest. "Someone's coming," he rasped, urgency infusing his voice. "We need to find a way out now." As they reached the store's back, she spotted a fire exit. Bright red and resolute against the chaos, it seemed almost to beckon her. But as she approached, a shadow whirled, a dancer swathed in darkness, and suddenly it loomed larger, blocking their escape. "Where do you think you're going?" The voice slithered through the air, calm yet dripping with menace. The CEO stepped forward, his presence as cold as a winter's night. The old man trembled, his eyes wide with despair. "You don't understand. I have vital information." "Saving yourself isn't information, old man," the CEO interrupted with a cruel smirk, eyes glinting with a predatory spark. "It's cowardice. And cowardice deserves no mercy." Cold fear slithered down her spine. She felt the old man's grip slacken as realization crashed through him. "No, you want to take me," he yelled hoarsely, the defiance born of desperation ringing with a lingering echo. Too late. The CEO snapped his fingers, and the air seemed to vibrate with an ominous energy. Around them, the crowd tensed, pressing together, forming an unwilling wall of observers to the confrontation blossoming at its center. With a flash, 2 security personnel stepped out from the shadows, muscles taut and expressions hardened. "You're coming with us," they declared, closing in on the old man as he staggered back. "No," she shouted, instinctively lurching forward to block the man's path. "Not like this. Don't let them take you." But the old man's face paled, and as he stumbled, she caught a glimpse of the shadowy figure behind him, twisting ever closer to her own fears. "Listen to me," he rasped, urgency pressing against her heart. "Trust no one. The files, they hold everything." "We have to stand together." Before he could finish, a deafening crash erupted, the store's lights flickering ominously. The COS smirk faded as a ripple of dread washed over the crowd. They were aware now that something darker lurked in the edges of their reality. A surge of chaos erupted, and she grabbed the old man's arm. "We have to go. Now." They barreled toward the exit, the shadow pursuing them like a dark cloud churning in a storm. The world outside blinked into view, a realm of uncertainty and possibility. But behind her, the COS voice rose, echoing bright and booming. "You think you can evade me? I'll hunt you until the end. You can't hide from the truth." Her breath caught in her throat. And then, just as they burst through the door, footsteps thundered behind her, a voice haunting her retreat like a relentless specter. What would she risk to learn the truth? Was the old man's information worth the looming shadows? And who would survive the storm that was brewing just beyond the threshold? The sunlight hit her like a slap when they burst out of the store, illuminating the chaos of the street. People were scrambling to escape, while sirens wailed in the distance. The old man, still clutching her wrist, gasped for breath, his face drenched in sweat and fear. "We have to find a safe place," he insisted, his voice a frantic whisper laced with urgency. She nodded, her heart racing, feeling the weight of the world crashing down. The COS parting words echoed in her mind. Would he really hunt her down? Over there. She pointed to a nearby alley, its shadows more inviting compared to the chaos around them. It felt like stepping into a refuge rather than fleeing. Together they dashed toward it, their footsteps pounding a frantic rhythm against the cracked pavement. Once hidden within the alley's embrace, they pressed against the gritty wall. The old man was breathing heavily, eyes darting as if searching for predators in the maze of shadows. "The files, they're the key," he panted, fumbling through his pockets. "If we can just get to them." "Get to them?" she interrupted, panic tightening her throat. "Who's after you? What do you mean by the truth?" Her impatience flew open, a floodgate of words that had been trapped inside her. The old man took a deep breath, gathering himself in the stillness of the narrow passage. "I worked for the CEO's company, collecting information on shady dealings. The files I have, they expose corruption, fraud, everything." His gaze was intense, piercing through the haze of fear. He's desperate to keep that from seeing the light. A sick feeling twisted in her gut. "And he's willing to hurt people to protect himself," she murmured, understanding spiraling dangerously. "I helped you, and now I'm in this mess too. We can't let fear chain us," he said, his voice heavy with determination. "You have to trust me." "Trust?" she asked bitterly, recalling how she willingly stepped into the web, drawn in by his desperate plea. "How can I trust you when this whole thing is a disaster?" Suddenly, a heavy thud echoed from the end of the alley, growing closer, and they froze, hearts racing. "He's coming," she whispered, her skin prickling with the certainty of danger. "It's now or never," the old man yelled, igniting a flicker of bravery in her. "Find out what he's capable of. Show him we won't cower." "Okay." Her resolve strengthened, mingling with adrenaline. "How do we do this?" He opened his mouth to answer, but just as he did, the clatter of footsteps drew too close for comfort. "Stay hidden," she hissed, pushing her back against the brick while he crouched next to her. The figure stalking towards them was unmistakable, the CEO, regal in his sharp suit, prowling the alley like a predator on the hunt. The raw intent in his gaze felt electric, thick with danger. Come out, wherever you are," his voice dripped with twisted delight, each syllable curling like smoke in the air. "I know you're in here." There was a pulse of fear that threatened to drown her, but then the flame of defiance ignited again. They would not fall, they would fight. With a sudden surge of bravery, she stepped out slightly, catching his attention. Looking for someone? He halted, surprise flickering across his features before amusement danced upon them again. Ah, the brave little rabbit. How delightful. Why hide? She taunted. Let us see what you've got. His eyes narrowed, and for a moment she sensed a shift. The quiet menace became a storm in his soul. You have no idea what kind of game you're playing, do you? I might not know all the rules, she shot back, her voice steady, but I'm ready to change them. The CEO chuckled, a chilling sound that reverberated through the alley. Your courage is admirable but foolish. You're already dancing with shadows. Before he could react, she steeled her mind, recalling the old man's words. Trust is a fool's game. She turned, meeting the old man's gaze, courage pooling in her chest. You go find those files. I'll keep him distracted. Shock registered on his face. What? You can't face him alone. It's too dangerous. I'll buy you time, she shouted, bolstering the conviction surging through her veins. He'll be looking at me, not you. Don't be reckless, he started. But she didn't let him finish. No more hesitation. Now, she cried, and without another word, the old man slipped deeper into the shadows, fogging out of view. All attention was back on her as the CEO stepped closer, smug satisfaction playing on his lips. The thrill of danger coursed through her, and this time, she embraced it. Why so cocky? She challenged, feigning bravado despite the fear curling in her gut. You think you can snuff me out? He shook his head, voice deepening with menace. Cockiness gets you killed, especially when you're cornered like a rat. As he advanced, she felt the weight of the moment linger, the shadows thickening around them like a living thing. She had to hold her ground and perhaps, just perhaps, turn his own darkness against him. As he drew near, she pulled together every ounce of bravado she could muster. A storm beneath her calm, waiting until the moment was exactly right. This was the heart of the game, and she wouldn't back down. Let us play, she whispered, stepping towards him with a resolve that was tangible. But I warn you, this rabbit has sharper teeth than you think. Challenging the darkness wasn't just a tactical act. It became her lifeline. She could feel it stir beneath the surface, asking her to dig deeper into herself. Behind the tension in that alley lay something unshakable, a chance to dismantle the twisted game laid out before her. The city at large would bear witness, and she wouldn't let fear dictate her fate. She was ready for whatever came next, and in that moment, she stepped closer to him with a fierce glint in her eyes, shaping her destiny with every heartbeat. Checkmate, she muttered, a small smile breaking through. The looming shadows had shifted. She was no longer a pawn. She was a queen, ready to reclaim the throne of her own life. The ending was uncertain, but she was prepared to battle, no matter the cost. And just like that, a new chapter was born. Remember, the stakes were high, but she had something far more powerful on her side now. Determination. It was the moment to carve a path from the chaos, unearthing hidden truths along the way. Now let us see how this ends, but hold on. Before you go, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next heart-stopping exclusive story. This is the moment to show your support. Don't forget to smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and flood that comments section with your reactions and theories about what's about to happen next. Your thoughts mean the world, and they make this community thrive. So don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us keep the magic alive together.